of Refuge, and to all of you who are viewing. This has been a momentous day. It has been quite significant, and the reason I'm a little late is because I have flown two of the most significant doctors in as it relates to how can we save our African American brothers and our Hispanic brothers from this awful disease. And I thought today that I'd go in a natural way. We've talked supernaturally. We've talked about God from a spiritual point of view, but now we need to find out how we can stop black folk from dying. And that's why we have flown two very influential men in. You have many questions, I have questions, and we want to begin with them. So I'm going to pray and reach everybody. I've reached out to Sean, I've reached out to Snoop, I've reached out, Rick Ross is in the building. I've reached out to everybody so that we can get to the bottom of how can we save black people from this disease. We're dying. The proportion is too ridiculous. It's like the Vietnamese War, where most of the fellows who died and were black. We can't do this anymore. We've got to find a way to solve our problems. And if God has given us two men who naturally know how to get us out of this, then we can give him praise and glory. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you because you've allowed us solutions to our problem. And we believe that we have great solutions to our problems right now in this space. And we pray, God, that you will open our eyes. Help us to understand that maybe we don't need to open up Georgia and everywhere else until we have the kind of resistance to stand this test. And I bless your name right now because you are God all by yourself. See us through this, God, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
I want to introduce two very, very special people, and I met, and you have had an experience with Dr. Wilson Washington, who happens to come all the way from D.C., and Dr. Matthews is coming from Atlanta. And they're here, they came for no other reason than to enlighten us because of Stephen Morris and because of Sean Combs. I brought them here, and Rick Ross introduced me to them. So I am happy, and I want them to take as much time as they need to talk to us. So I present to you right now Dr. Wilson.
Any questions?
Oh, I have some questions, Doc. I
Sure.
think Stevie is coming in. I'm trying to admit Stephen now
Okay.
into the conversation. But I'm going to answer the first question, then I'm going to swing to you. The question that they're asking me is, we hear and see from the news and media daily on COVID-19's pandemic, the fatality survivors, the stay-home measures, testing, etc. Where is the voice of the church in this pandemic? What should we be hearing from the church? Should the church's voice be louder during this pandemic? Now, I want you to understand that we're dealing with a God who operates supernaturally and naturally. And this has to be understood by the people who are going through this, that the God we serve is natural and supernatural. Here's what Jesus said. Jesus said that the well have no need of a physician. So he's never denied the significance of a physician in the operation of human existence. It's because of God's ability to put principles in place that makes medical technology possible. So we're in a situation now where we have certain decks keeping this disease from coming upon us. And now we're going to increase that because we're dealing now with two gentlemen who are going to talk to us about increasing our natural God-given defense against disease. And that's the white blood cells fighting. Vitamin D becomes necessary. So here is the voice of the church. Give you what is naturally able to protect you through medical technology with men who have done great research. That's the voice of this church. Here is who I'm presenting to help us through this naturally. Now, if we follow principle, then if it doesn't work for us, we're ready for miracle. But I am not projecting the supernatural before the natural, because God is the God of the natural. So here's my voice loud and clear. Let's fortify our bodies to be able to handle whatever comes our ways. We've got the experts on. The church is not an expert in medical technology. I have the experts here with us right now. Any other questions? Okay. Called miracle vitamin, vitamin D. In other words, let me just go over it again. And I don't want to be complicated. I'm not going to be garrulous. I'm going to be laconic in my response. Understand this. Men could have flown years ago if they understood the principles of flight. In the last 50 to 100 years, we have had more advance in science than we've ever had in the history of humankind. Why? Because the principles were already out there. Man just didn't discover. So we have got the Wright brothers flying. They understood wind velocity, jet propulsion, gravity, but it was there when Abraham was on the earth. We have to give credence to men and women that God brings into our space who have studied what he has placed as principles, and now we need to follow. Everybody should be running for some vitamin D right now because it's necessary for us to have it. Right. Now, who's giving me the questions? Because I know questions are coming in. How does coming back into the sanctuary look like from the coronavirus? Safety, engaging with one another, and with the black community with the highest rate on underlying health issues. I'll answer the third one first. We are working now on fortifying the immune system of our brothers and sisters. That's why we flew 2 doctors in. We're putting them up for 3 days so we can deal with the issue of the underlying situation that makes us so vulnerable. That's why we flew them in. Engaging one another. Now, my president is not talking about testing, but I'm telling you right now that in order for us to open up the economy and open up the country, testing is critical. It should be so that each one of us has a card that says, I am okay, I can function. If I'm not okay because of testing, then I need to be isolated, but I need to find out who I was around. I'm around a group of young men who do all this technical situation for me. They keep me in tune with you, but all of them are wearing masks, and I'm hoping all of them are healthy because they're younger than I am. I can't, I can't fight it like they can. But I've got the doctor here because I need all of us to understand that God operates in the natural as well as the supernatural. You have not lost faith to have faith in the natural things that God has placed in principle. Please hear me. You have not lost faith. And like Jesus was tempted by the devil to jump off of the pinnacle of the temple, he said, I will not tempt the Lord my God. We have the experts here. Let's hear them. I'm saying to all of my rich buddies in the world that care about black people, let's make this available to all of our people. I don't care if they're overweight, high blood pressure, sugar diabetes. Let's make vitamin D and whatever my doctor has available to all of us. Because the best way to defeat this disease is not to get it, is to beat it when it comes. All right. Who's next?
I have a comment to say. If you go to Google Mongolia and coronavirus and deaths, you find out the whole country of Mongolia, which has a population of 3.16 million people, they've had, like a couple of weeks ago, only 16 cases and 0 deaths. So I was over there last year in April 2019, where I did talks to the entire government, all the elected officials, and train them on the use of vitamin D. So they have a nationwide vitamin D program, and they sit right above China, which is basically the hot zone. They've not had a single death because everybody in the country is basically on vitamin D there. So you can Google this for yourself and see it.
So that's Google Mongolia.
Mongolia and coronavirus and deaths.
All right. Google Mongolia, coronavirus, and deaths. Now, I have some questions I need to ask. The pH of the body, because the question was asked me last week and I couldn't answer it. The pH of the body. I worked at Ross Laboratories when I was in seminary, and I did Isomil and I did Similac. And I would do pHs to make the milk in the can as close to mother's milk as possible. Doc, does pH have anything to do with our ability to defeat this disease?
Well, normal pH in your body is 7.4. If you get too acidic or your pH drops below 7.4, or you get too basic, it goes above 7.4. Both ways or too far away from 7.4 can kill you. When you get too acidic, you decrease your heart contractility. So instead of your heart contracting like this, you start getting around 6.8, 6.9, it starts contracting like that. So as a trauma surgeon, when I'm operating on somebody and they're losing a lot of blood, you can't stop the blood loss or they've lost so much. I've not had maybe only one patient when they get around 7, 6.8, 6.9 to survive. So you need a pH of 7.4 to survive. Cancers grow in usually acidic environments also. So you want to keep that pH at 7.4. However, you start getting above 7.4 to 7.5, 7.8, your body tends to hold on to oxygen and doesn't release it to your tissues. So both sides of 7.4 can kill you. You need to stay at 7.4. So the big thing is you want to keep your pH normalized, and your body likes to stay at a normal temperature, 98.6, a pH of 7.4, and you want to keep your vitamin D level up. So those are some things that you can do to kind of help your health out.
So indeed now, if I have the right kind of pH, if I stay with the right kind of pH, does vitamin D help me against cancer?
Yes, it does. Well, remember I said it increases your white blood cell count. So when I have enough white blood cells fight against bacterial infections, fungal infections, parasitic infections, viral infections, and it also fights against all that, and cancer cells also. So your immune system basically fights everything that's foreign that comes in your body.
Oh, so then you're saying that, now explain a hormone as opposed to a vitamin.
Yes, okay, yeah, definitely. Great question, Bishop. A vitamin is kind of like a spark plug in your car. So what a spark plug does in your car, it lowers the combustible temperature where you can use gas at a lower temperature. So if you didn't have spark plugs, it would take your car temperature would go up to 190 degrees without the spark plug. So basically in your body, what vitamins do, it keeps your temperature at 98.6, because if we didn't have vitamins in your body in order to digest your food, your temperature would go up to 104, 105 degrees every time you ate a big meal. So your body temperature stays the same when you eat. So a vitamin is just, think of a spark plug when you think of a vitamin. A hormone works in your blood system. Hormones help us interact with our environments. Let's look at the male hormone testosterone. It affects everything in your body. As you get 13 years old, a kid normally affects his vocal cords. He gets a deeper voice. It affects his muscles. The muscles begin to get more muscular and more defined. It affects his ability to reproduce. The sperm become mature where he can reproduce at that age. And you begin to get facial hair. So hormone works on your body and help you interact with your environment. So you don't have any hormones, you have a hard time interacting with your environment. Yes, sir. Hmm.
Would be damaging to me, and that now becomes more a part of my body than the vitamin. Am I right?
Yes, correct. Correct.
Okay, so that means then that this vitamin D is essential. Now, the question I must ask is there anything that goes with this vitamin D that triggers? And I don't want to get into your patterns, but I want to understand what is the formula that triggers the vitamin D quickly. For instance, if you came to me right now and I am in the middle of this virus, would you just dump vitamin D by itself, or do you have a formula?
I have a formula basically and stuff. So I have a protocol formula that I've used for the last since 2008 at Grady Memorial Hospital. We lowered the mortality rate from 12% down to 3%. These are people that have been shot, stabbed, fallen out of cars, falling out of airplanes, and they have multiple injuries. They had one guy that fell 500 feet out the sky and survived and walked out of the hospital. He had about 18, 20 different life-threatening injuries. And so it helps your body with everything.
So it's complete. I want to ask you a question. I'm really dumbfounded because why haven't, I know you've talked to people because I've Googled you and you've been all over the world. You've talked to CDC. Tell us some of the people you've talked to.
Like I said, I've been to the FDA 6 times. I was the first person that they ever let speak at the FDA about a vitamin. And so they didn't know it was a vitamin. I mean, they didn't know it was a hormone. They thought it was a vitamin because their position was they didn't believe vitamins do anything to help healing. But then I explained that, well, being a chemistry major, I see things differently. Most doctors were biology majors, so they don't understand things on a chemical basis. For example, night blindness, you treat that with vitamin A. Scurvy back in the old days, you treated that with vitamin C. If you have steroid-induced wound core healing, you treat that with vitamin A. So vitamin can help in treatment. And so vitamin D is not a vitamin. It should be called hormone D. It was discovered 100 years ago, and they thought it was a vitamin. They just named it the next thing, vitamin D, but it's really a hormone. So you have receptors for vitamin D on every cell and tissue in your body, so it has to be important. And then remember now, this is the only vitamin, the way this thing is made is unique. Vitamin D, you only get 10% from your diet, 90% comes from the sun striking your skin. So the sun strikes your skin and take cholesterol and make a dehydrocholesterol. Then it goes to the liver and add a hydroxy group on it. Then it goes to the kidney to get another hydroxy group. So God made this thing so complex, it involves the sun. So you know the energy of the sun. So the SON made the SUN, which helps us make vitamin D. So vitamin D is very important. And so no other vitamin goes through all that. So in order to make vitamin D in your body, you need healthy skin, you need healthy sun, you need a healthy liver and a healthy kidney. And that's kind of complicated. So I say there's something different about this substance. God went through all this trouble, whereas rest of the vitamins, you can just take them and the body doesn't make them.
Well, the interesting thing then is now, how does my pigmentation hinder? If you're telling me that white people
Yes. Okay, that's a very good question, Bishop. That is probably the most important question. So I need to make sure everybody get this point. We have melanin in our skin. So when God made us, he put us on the equator. So melanin is like a natural sunscreen. It protects you from the sun. You know, we can stay out in the sun longer, get less skin burn, less skin cancers. And so it's a protection when you're on the equator. But as you move farther from the equator, you need to stay in the sun. We need to stay in the sun 3 to 10 times longer than the average Caucasian person to make the same amount of vitamin D. So in the United States, our vitamin D levels tend to be 30% lower than the average Caucasian. So as a result, we have lower vitamin D levels. You're going to be more susceptible to lower diseases because your immune system is not going to work or function as well as a Caucasian person. It's just simple biology, basically, is all it is. And so actually, like I said, it's a natural sunscreen when you're on the equator. But, you know, black people, we can get sunburn, skin cancer, but it takes our skin a little longer to. So it's protection on the equator, but further you go north latitudes, it works against you.
So that means it becomes imperative for those that are listening that you go out and get vitamin D, because naturally, if you're in the equator, like I was in Jamaica, I was fine. But now that I moved north and west to California, now I've got to take the vitamin D. Now, Doc, what amounts should I take to defeat this virus?
Well, personally, I recommend people go to their doctor first, get their level checked. You need to see how low you are, where you are. So if you're really low, you're going to need a 50,000 IUs, which is a doctor's prescription strength. So that's 50,000 international units. That's how it's measured. After you get your level up, then you need to take a maintenance dose. So maintenance dose, I usually take 5,000 IUs a day. So that's 50,000 to get your level up. Then there's 5,000 a day to keep your level up. It's kind of like your car. You can't fill your tank up one time and think it's going to stay full. You got to fill your tank up every day, every week. And so same principle.
So does it matter if I have my immune system built up strong enough and I have diabetes or high blood pressure, I'm still at a disadvantage, but I'm better off. Is that true? If I build it up in spite of my diabetes or my high blood pressure?
Well, I have high blood pressure myself. I'm on 2 medications for high blood pressure. So first thing I do, I take my high blood pressure medication in the morning, and then I take my vitamin D. So I'm 57 years old. I've worked 80 to 100 hours for like 31 years, getting 2-3 hours of sleep a night. So technically I should be dead based on just the sheer hours I've worked. And then I was around these different diseases all my life. I never caught anything. Seldom if ever got sick other than not sleeping. But I shouldn't even be here with those type of hours in 31 years consistently, 2 hours of sleep a night. And so it does help. It helps your overall body. It's important for optimal health. It makes your bones stronger, makes your muscles stronger, helps with your mental things and stuff. It delays the onset of any type of chronic diseases. If you have arthritis, it'll help that. You have dementia, it'll slow the progression of that. So vitamin D is very important to your overall health from the time of inception. That's why you have so many black babies born with these autisms and all these learning disabilities and other things.
Let's go to autism. Isn't that got a lot to do with people plugging people with these fever shots? Are you with this flu shot business?
Well, being a healthcare worker, I had to take a flu shot every year. We couldn't work because we were exposed to it. So I've never, last 15 years, I've not had the flu nor any major colds because I take vitamin D also. They have, it's kind of controversial. They have a lot of things, preservatives in these flu shots and stuff. And so the effect that it has on little kids before their immune system develop, who knows? Yeah.
Now, Doc, I asked Dr. Wilson this, Washington. I love him so much. He's so cool. But let me ask this question. How do you handle the vitamin D without being constipated?
Personally, what I do is I'm a health nut. So first thing I do, I get up in the morning, I take my vitamin D. I drink a lot of water too. Most people are dehydrated, number one. So majority of Americans, I would probably say 80% of Americans don't drink enough water. So we're all dehydrated.
How much water should I drink a day, Doc?
I try to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. I just sip. I don't try to, just go up and you're going to stop. So I just sip all day long. I used to keep bottles of water in my lab coat when I was working around the hospital because you're operating underneath these hot lights, you get dehydrated. So I would just drink and sip water all day. And then the second thing you do, we all need fiber. You need about 35 grams of fiber in your diet every day. Most people don't get half of that in terms of fiber. When they do autopsies on people, they found colons with 35 pounds of stool in them on the average. 25 to 35 pounds of just sheer stool because we have low fiber diets in the United States. The third world countries.
Of stool?
Yes.
Are you telling me that people are full of?
Yes, sir. Literally. Literally.
My goodness. And it's out of there that most diseases come, eh?
Yes, death begins in the colon. Yes, sir. Death begins in the colon. So you got all that stool sitting there. That stuff is toxic. Well, you know that smell. It has methane gas in it and all other type things. So God designed every time you eat, you should evacuate. And so
Okay.
we eat a processed diet. Most people don't eat a high fiber food. So personally, I used to work all the time, so I would take Metamucil or something about
Yes,
around
yes,
12
yes.
noon. So I would take my vitamins and my blood pressure pills at 4:30 when I got up every morning. Then around noon, I would always take an 8-ounce glass of water with some Metamucil or some fiber.
Well, the thing about me, Doc, and I will have to say this, is that I drink juices. I have beet juice, beetroot juice, all that kind of stuff. I don't eat anything fried. I haven't had milk in so many years. I have bad habits, but they're none of those. And I have to admit, but I would like you to explain to me, how can somebody who does not have the amount of income that many privileged people have, how can we find a way to have the right kind of diet? How can we find a way to have healthy eating? For instance, a bunch of broccoli, $5, but a hamburger is 99 cents. You
Yeah.
can gouge yourself at International House of Pancakes, Waffle House. How do you make it happen when you don't have the finances?
That is a great question. I'm glad you asked that question, Bishop. Growing up, Wilson and I both grew up in Mississippi, so we both came from large families, and those were before the time where you had insurance, you had to pay cash and everything. So from a family of 11, we had an acre of land. We grew a garden. So that's how we got all our vegetables and fruits. And then my mom would barter with, other people that grew gardens. So she grew corn, this one grew okra. So we had every vegetable known to mankind. And so I think churches can play a big part in it. Most churches, especially in the African-American community, have 8, 10, 12, 20 acres that sometimes is just dormant. Basically, with this coronavirus going on, you're going to see a food shortage pretty soon, the next 3 months probably. So churches could band together, start growing our own foods to help feed the community. And it costs nothing to go buy seeds. Seeds are very cheap.
So you're saying, and I think maybe this is something we should do for the benefit of everybody around, is that for anybody who has any space at all with a little bit of
Yes.
ground, do a garden, so you can
Yes, correct.
you can grow what you can't afford to buy
Yes,
in
sir.
the shop or the store.
Yes,
Now
sir.
that makes a
So-
lot of sense, and I never would have thought that would be the way to go about it, Doc. I think that you're
Yes, sir.
making quite a point. Now there's another question here that I think I have to answer. It appears that the saints' prayers takes years to manifest. However, when it comes to consequences, or when we don't walk in line of the principles, as you would say, the consequences come very quickly and swiftly. I will respond to that from this point of view, and that is this. When I look at consequences, because I believe this, I believe you either walk, you're going to have pain. No matter who you are, you're going to have pain. You're going to either have the pain of discipline or the pain of consequence. Consequence generally is out of your hand. You have no ability to control consequences, but you have the ability to control discipline. Here's what I've noted, and I feel your heart. I feel your heart. I have noted that sometimes it seems as if the consequences are way more horrendous and horrific than the deed that was done outside of the principle. You end up having a baby with some woman out of wedlock. I will not say illegitimate, because no child is illegitimate. But you end up having a 15-minute fling, but now you got 30 years or 18 years at least to deal with the situation. The consequence of the behavior. You're driving a car, you reach back to slap one of the kids or to correct one of the kids, you lose control of the car, and you're decapitated. It happened in Houston. It seems oftentimes that the consequence of our behavior, this is why we have to have an acknowledgement of God in the decisions we make. In all thy ways acknowledge him, so you won't operate in consequences. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, and when I dwell in the house of the Lord, goodness and mercy shall follow me. Principles. What the doc is giving us, principles. Principles. It may mean you don't get to buy a Louis Vuitton you may not be able to buy a Tom Ford suit, but your health is more important. And I'm understanding now that health is a new wealth. We're operating in a time where we can simply say the deceitfulness of riches. The private jet, where you going to take it? The Ferrari you want to floss at the hotel, at the place to really floss now is to pull up at the Waldorf. But who's going to pay any attention to you pulling at the Waldorf when they're empty? You can't go to your favorite restaurant. You can forget your $500 bottle of wine. You can't go to the Soho House. You can't go to the country club. Everything is shut down. But you feel like you got some money, count it every day. What good is it? The deceitfulness of riches. Our health is the new wealth.
Bishop, I actually agree with you. Like the old saying, you reap what you sow. I tell people, underline that word sow. Everything you do increases exponentially. It's not linear. You plant one apple seed, you don't get one apple. You get a whole tree full of apples.
Wow.
You plant one ear of corn, you don't get one stalk of corn. You get like a whole bunch of corn. So whatever you do, you get it back exponentially. So you do wrong, you're going to get it back exponentially. You do right, you're going to get it back.
I see the point. I think you made it you were more explicit than I was. And that is whatever you sow, you reap, but you always reap more than what you sow. So
Correct.
if you're sowing negatively, then you're going to reap in a very serious way.
Correct.
And it's going to seem as if it's unfair, the reaping. Yeah. But it's the way, it's the principle.
Yes, the principle.
So for God's sake, let's sow the right things. Now, Lisa Collins is saying, and Lisa, I love you. Lisa is saying, is 1,000 IU vitamin D3 sufficient? Are we talking daily, Doc?
1,000 IUs, that's dosage for a child from maybe 1 year old about 13 years old, and then from 13 to about 15, 2,000 IUs. Then like 15 above, the adult-sized kid, 5,000 would suffice. Actually, I worked with a high school football team back in 2011 and started these kids on 5,000 IUs. They did not even have a weight room, and they were the strongest, fastest kids in the whole state of Georgia. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, all the top coaches were coming there. The defense for these kids in high school, they had 11 kids on defense, and the average time for the whole 11 kids was like 4.6 40-yard dash. With that. So it helps kids too. Most kids are vitamin D deficient. 1,000 is not enough for an adult. It's not. But for a child 1 to 13 years old, it's sufficient.
So let me ask a question then, Doc, because obviously this question that Lisa asks is centered around whether or not you can OD on D3.
Okay, that is another. Okay, I need you to listen real carefully to this point. When I was in medical school, that's all they ever talked about was vitamin D toxicity. Okay. We only had one lecture on nutrition, and we were just told eat 3 meals a day, you'll be healthy. So being a smart aleck like I was like, how are you going to do that when you only get 10% of vitamin D from your diet? Okay. 90% of vitamin D comes from the sun striking your skin through, like I say, going to your liver and all that stuff. All right, so even if you ate a healthy 3 meals a day, you're not going to get enough vitamin D because most foods do not have vitamin D in it, number one. So you basically need to supplement or go in the sun in order to get enough vitamin D. So the thing is with toxicity, I can count the number of toxins. I've not seen a vitamin D toxicity. It's the vitamin D deficiency that will kill you. When your vitamin D level gets less than 18, you can just take a simple blood sample and is measured in nanograms per milliliter. So normal, the federal government says 30 nanograms per milliliter is a normal vitamin D level. However, all animals in nature run between 50 and 55 nanograms per milliliter. So the first question I ask myself, who's smarter, Mother Nature or man? Mother Nature, man. I said, well, God and Mother Nature wins out to me. The animals are smarter than we are. And so if you notice, when we take animals into captivity, out of the wild, they have a hard time reproducing. They get fat, they get diabetes and cancers just like we do, because now we got them in these enclosures where they're not getting sunlight either. So all animals and plants even make vitamin D. So that should tell you how important it is. So plants make D2, we make D3. So every living organism on God's green earth make this stuff. So that should tell you it's important for all living organisms. And once your level gets less than 18 nanograms per milliliter, your risk of death goes up 30% from all causes. So if you go in the hospital, you have a heart attack, a stroke, traumatic brain injury, pneumonia, coronavirus. So if my level, I go in the hospital, I have coronavirus, my vitamin D level is 10, that's less than 18. So my risk of coronavirus has a higher mortality rate if you have to get intubated. Then add 30% on top of that if my vitamin D level is less than 18. So that's something simple I can fix. I can cut my risk of death by 30%.
Wow.
And that's significant.
Just
so that's what I've done.
Now, there's another question. Somebody said, where is the data for coronavirus and how it has responded to your formula? But you already told us that with the Monrovia piece. So
yeah, Mongolia. Yeah, Mongolia.
Mongolia. So we're saying then, to the person who asked this question, Google Dr. Matthews.
Just Google my name. L. Ray Matthews.
L. Ray Matthews and the Mongolia, and then we'll get the answer to this. Now, how does coronavirus affect type 1 diabetes? That's another question I have.
Diabetes, all these diseases, these are chronic diseases. So aging, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart trouble, all those are things that usually come along with aging and higher chronic infections. So what vitamin D does, it decreases the chronic inflammation in your body. So type 1 diabetes is usually, that's like a juvenile onset diabetes. So you can decrease the amount of inflammation. High glucose in your body is bad. So what a diabetic is, this is a person that has glucose that they can't use. So there we go back to those hormones again. The hormone that gets glucose into your cells is called insulin. So no insulin, you can't use glucose. It's kind of like having not having the right key to get in your own house, or you don't have the password to get in your own puzzle. So this glucose just stays in your blood system and it starts damaging all your blood vessels. So basically one thing that vitamin D does in diabetics, it decreases the chronic inflammation in their blood vessels, and it can decrease all the chronic side effects they can get. So as a surgeon, I can't count the number of toes and legs and things that I've had to cut off because people had bad gangrenous legs, bad infections from diabetes. It can cause blindness, with the small vessels in your eyes. 2/3 of diabetics die from heart attacks and strokes, which is due to chronic inflammation. So it decreases the amount of chronic inflammation in your body.
So for my sake now, diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2, what's the difference?
Diabetes type 1 is juvenile onset. It's from like a childhood, and type 2 is like you develop it during adult time. It's usually more due to chronic inflammation.
So my mother ended up with diabetes in her late stage of life. Why so?
That's type 2 because of chronic inflammation in your body. When you're young, your body is efficient. Just like a young kid can eat whatever they want. When I was 18, I could eat a Big Mac at 2 o'clock in the morning, no problem. Now I eat a Big Mac at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to hallucinate, my belly's going to hurt, I'm going to have a reflux, and I'm going to feel that burger the next 2 days. So as we age, our body you're going to decline a little bit, but do you want to go straight down, or you want to go gradual decline? So vitamin D kind of help you.
So us preachers who are eating at 12 midnight like it's 12 noon at 70 years old, I mean, we're just trying to die.
Well, just eat light things. Get your orange. Apples are good because they have fiber in them. So I just eat an apple at midnight if I'm still up, or grab an orange or some light popcorn or something light. I don't eat a steak or a burger.
Doc, that does not go with the opulence of being a bishop. Okay. What we do is, tonight we're going to have a steak, and it's going to be, and we act as if, and it's a bad example that we're setting for the people we pastor. Yes. We have them standing around serving us in the middle of the night when they got to get up early in the morning. I don't go to any of those things. I'm sorry. It's just not now.
Bishop,
let me ask you this. Wilson, go ahead, Doc.
Let me pipe in while you're talking about food and nutrition. I want to just pipe in because it's so important that Dr. Matthews gets to speak and to speak right into the hearts of Americans, especially African Americans.
Yes.
But these underlying medical conditions, we really need to highlight them, and we need to. This is part of my push to educate our communities. Obesity, for example, we're talking more scientific about the swelling inside the body, but let's go outside the body. Overweight, obesity generally leads to a challenge with diabetes. And so we have a lot of our people in our communities, male and female, that are dealing with obesity. That's one of the underlying risk factors where this COVID-19 virus is going to, you're going to have a challenge with it. You're going to see it, and you're going to face it, and you're going to wrestle with it. Other things that we do have in our community that have those underlying risk factors: high blood pressure, which is generally associated with obesity, kidney disease, asthma, which is something you could potentially be born with, but as you grow up and still have a challenge with asthma and inflammation in your bronchial tubes and your lungs, you're going to deal with asthma. COVID-19 is going to give you a challenge. You're going to wrestle with that. Congestive heart failure. As we age out and the older we get, it's going to get, and you have congestive heart failure and you're taking medications for that, you can suspect that you're going to, if you come in contact with COVID-19, you're going to have to wrestle with that. The HIV and AIDS, those patients are going to have a challenge dealing with this. And any other autoimmune system problems, lupus, all these other diseases, you will probably have a challenge. Now, the CDC talks about social isolation, and we all understand that so well. And it appears, since America is locked down, that America is going to be saved strictly with social isolation and lock-in. That's only part of the solution, and this is why you need Dr. Matthews. We need Dr. Matthews' solution out there in the community helping people. Let me tell you why. Social isolation, social distancing, quarantine, travel restrictions, all those are part of a mitigation strategy, which is on one side of this problem that we face called COVID-19 pandemic. Those are all mitigation strategies. If we do that, and we do a great job at it, the best it can do is mitigate the spread about 40%. So you got another 60% of this very infectious, very contagious viral microorganism that's out there that we cannot even see. 60% of it is still out there, and it's finding ways to survive. It's mutating different ways. We have to recognize that if a storm is coming at us and we're able to stop 40% of it, 60% is still coming. And so it's coming right for our community. So rather than be afraid of it, we have to lean into it. And this is what Dr. Matthews brings to the table. He brings a solution, a protocol that allows us to lean into the storm and be able to negotiate the storm and get through the storm. Because it's very likely that with 60% of 100% coming at us, it's very likely, although we do the mitigation through social distancing, social isolation, quarantine, mandatory lock-in, travel restrictions, we're doing that. America does a great job at it. But that's only fixing 40% of the problem. So we got to recognize that we are going to be hit, and we're going to be hit very bad. And we have to move to the other side, which is suppression. We have to move to the suppression side of the solution. Well, one part of suppression, we hear about it. It's called someone progress to the stage where they go to the hospital, they actually get on a ventilator. That's a suppression strategy, because then you're actually in treatment. You're seeing a guy like Dr. Matthews. You're seeing all the frontline medical staff working with everything they got to try to save your life. Well, Dr. Matthews is the guy that's going to help us get off the ventilator much faster, because he knows how to do that. That's what he's probably one of the best in the business on how to get someone off a ventilator, because the longer you stay on the ventilator, the less likelihood you're going to get off of it. When you get into 3.5, 4, 5 days, only God will pull you through that. Those of us who are on ventilators, we need to get off those ventilators as soon as possible. And those doctors that are out there on the front line, these are very smart people. These are very expensive, very well-trained resources. But what I tell all the docs I talk to, you don't know what you don't know. If you're fighting a war in the wrong area, you're not going to win. And so you need a guy like Dr. Matthews to put those frontline medical staffs on the battlefront to fight in the area where the greatest need is. He can put us right on top of that. And so we can do, on the suppression side, we can do the targeted antiviral treatment. Targeted, meaning we go to the people that are actually challenged with this infection. We treat those people. That's a suppression strategy. And we get Dr. Matthews in the hospital, and he get these people off these ventilators. He helped educate very smart people that takes 28 to 30 years to train, to be there. He trained them in a space that they just may not know what they don't know. And by doing that, we can get people off these ventilators and get people back to their homes and to their families. And we can also help America achieve herd immunity faster. We understand herd immunity better than most. But you got to make sure that when you step outside of your home, the best defense you have is your own immune system. That is the best defense that you have, because it's very likely you're going to be exposed one way or the other. So Dr. Matthews is promoting a breakthrough that will help us be best prepared and to fight this virus with everything we got.
Let me talk about ventilators for a minute,
Okay.
or let me ask a question. Do most of the professionals who are operating ventilators, because it would seem to me that if I'm allowed to cough this mucus up out of me, it would be better than having this ventilator sitting in me with the mucus growing exponentially. Please tell me how would you work ventilators, Doc? I mean, please.
Okay, so what we do, we have parameters to put you on a ventilator. So if somebody's coming there, they're breathing 35 times a minute, you're gonna tire out sooner or later. What happens is your respiratory muscles are gonna get tired, and then you're gonna go into cardiovascular collapse, and then next thing I'm gonna be coding you. So I'm looking at your respiratory rate, I'm looking at your face, how anxious or emotional you are, I'm looking at your heart rate. So if you come in there and you have a heart rate of 150, I need to intubate you, or 130 that's sustained and doesn't come down. Once I put you on the face mask, you need intubation. But then there are some people that you can get by without having to intubate them. You know, those that like the heart rate is not too high and they're breathing maybe 25 times a minute, you got a little time to watch them. But once the respiratory rate gets above 35, you have to intubate them. And you're absolutely right. Ventilators are good short-term, but long-term, they are injurious to the lungs. After 48 hours, your risk of getting ventilator-associated pneumonia goes up about 40%.
Wow.
So you almost definitely will get a pneumonia if you stay on the ventilator long enough. So the thing is, the key is trying to get them off as quick as you possibly can, or to try to avoid putting them on it if you can. But some people, you just can't avoid it. They actually need it to survive, or they will code at that particular minute.
A question was asked, Heaven Sparks, God bless you, love you. How do GMOs impact immune systems? I don't even know what a GMO is. What is it?
That's genetically modified organisms. These are things that they splice in the lab. They basically take some genes and slightly alter that product. Say, for example, a genetically altered corn. They take a corn product and make it more resistant, where you don't need to put as many herbicides and pesticides on it to make it insect resistant. But your body now can't digest this corn because it's been genetically modified. So the effect that it has on the body, who knows? I don't think it's a great effect because it's not what God invented.
I must ask you this. Mm-hmm. For the people who are isolated right now, who are drinking, mm-hmm. How does drinking affect their ability to fight off this disease, or does it minimize or completely reduce it? Because, listen, a friend of mine sent me a big bottle of goose as a picture.
Grey Goose?
He said, I got the answer to this thing. This alcohol is going to kill it. So I want to know, for those that might be sitting home deciding they want to smoke ganja and have a drink, I mean, it's real.
Yeah, it's true.
Talk to me, Doc. Let me tell him, let me send him a message.
Okay. Well, alcohol may make you feel good, but another thing it does is your liver has to work extra hard. Your liver is like a filter, like an air filter or oil filter in your body. So if I'm clogging my liver up with alcohol, my filter's not working as well, getting other properties out of my liver. You get alcoholic liver disease. So it can be bad. If you do everything in moderation, which we seem to have a problem with. We like to do things in bulk consumptions. You know, a glass of wine here, a beer here, that won't hurt you, but a fifth of whiskey every day is not going to help you. Actually, it'll hurt you. You know,
whiskey.
I can't.
That's a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, I've had patients that drink it. They get ulcers. I had to operate on people that have stomach ulcers.
Wow.
Perforated big holes in their stomach. We have patients, you go in there, your liver should be smooth. And you operate on these people drinking, they got like, we call it a bumpy face liver. So the liver doesn't work. Bumpy face, like it's not a smooth like cobblestone.
Oh, I got
you. Know, your liver should be smooth like a desktop. But people that drink a lot, you can tell that they drink a lot because their liver is not smooth. And so then when you start getting the liver is not functioning right, it affects your overall body. It also suppresses your immune system. So actually, you're making yourself more susceptible to coronaviruses and other infections.
And that goes with the cocaine, and that goes with the marijuana. What about the marijuana? Everybody's bragging about the CBD and the marijuana stuff.
Okay. Well, CBD and the marijuana is a little different. Yeah, THC. You got THC is like causes the psychogenic effects. They get you high and stuff like that. CBD actually has some good properties. It's actually good for pain. And it doesn't have a lot of THC in it, and it's perfectly legal too. Whereas
so if
THC
I promoted CBD as a pastor preacher, would I be condemned?
A lot of people hadn't accepted it yet, or they're not up to speed. But actually, President Trump approved, made it legal to purchase CBD back in 2019. I think November 2019. And so you still have to be careful because everybody's not up to date. Like you go to Nebraska, they might arrest you for having CBD.
Well, if President Trump did it, anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone.
You also have to have a very low percentage of THC there too. So
a low percentage. Very low. What happened to me?
Yeah, low percentage of THC.
I had some CBD to go to sleep in Korea, and they had me for 4 or 5 hours sitting down. Because they won't let it in the country.
Yeah, Mongolia neither. You can't take it to Mongolia either.
That was some kind of, that was some kind of situation that I had. Because I had a little bit, I said, give me something so I can go to sleep. And my doctor said, take this. I said, it was prescribed.
Yeah.
And they put it in the thing, and the color didn't hardly change. They had me for hours. So that's why I had to ask you that question.
Have you tried melatonin to help you sleep?
Melatonin it don't work for me. I tried
it. Work for you? Okay.
But because listen, I'm a little wayward. But anyway, how often should we take zinc, Doc?
How often should we take what?
Zinc.
Oh, I take zinc every day. Zinc actually helps stop viral replication. So it actually works well with the vitamin D. So you need zinc every day.
Okay, so zinc every day. Are you hearing? Listen, I have flown this doctor here. In fact, I'm telling you, this is the best class I could give you. I don't know if you're watching. I don't know the numbers. I know Stevie's somewhere watching. I hope Sean is watching, because we gotta get this stuff on the ground. Now, are you using stabilized liquid oxygen? Very popular for children born without lungs. Does this prevent brain damage? That's a question I'm going to ask.
I do not have any experience at all with liquid oxygen, and hospitals are very regulated. You have to get an IRB approval to do anything, and it takes months and months of paperwork to get that approved. So it's not the standard of care in medicine right now. So anytime you're doing something outside of standard of care, you have to get special permission, get IRB approval. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of politics involved.
Is the virus airborne, Doc?
Yes, it is. It basically travels on air droplets. Just sitting here normally talking, it travels through air droplets. It can travel up to 6 feet just by air droplets. And if you sneeze, it can travel up to 27 feet. And it's also in the air conditioning. Yes, they're not letting you know everything. and 27 if you sneeze, because remember, sneeze is like forceful, whereas just talking, it just go like 6 feet. But it can sneeze and then it can stay airborne for 3 hours. So you can walk through somebody's sneeze.
So if I were to
let me add to that. Let me add to that, Bishop.
go ahead,
also,
Wilson.
so yes, it's certainly promoted as droplets, and what you might think is a droplet doesn't necessarily is not necessarily airborne because it's heavier, so it's going to eventually fall to the ground. So if you sneeze droplets, and of course they fall to the ground 6 feet or so away or 10 feet away. What we have, especially in this time of the season, we have a lot of Mother Nature things going on. We've got the pollen and we have the winds. And remember, this thing survives outside of the body for hours. So that means it can certainly start out as a droplet. It can fall to the ground. But then now you're running through the potential of someone coming along, jogging along the street and picking it up on their shoes. So guess what? They're going to track it right back to their homes. Okay, or they may come along and rub against the bush or the stainless steel surface, and they're going to pick it up and they're going to move and take it right back into their homes. The contagious nature of this virus is, I would say, use the word magnificent. One person can infect an entire community. That's how contagious this virus is. So it can hang out. This virus has those little spikes on it. These spikes, it's almost like little suction cups. They can hitch a ride on things. And so this virus can hitch a ride on a tree branch, on a stainless steel surface, which generally looks to the eye very smooth, on a car. It can hitch a ride on things, on your shoes, on your hands. That's why the hand washing is so important. Your skin is an amazing thing. You know, God put us together very amazing. But just regular soap and water, you can wash it off your skin, but it definitely could be hiding in your fingernails, hiding on your hands. And so you can simply need to go and wash your hands. There's a certain way you wash your hands and make sure you're running it at least under natural water. Soap and water washes it away. There are a number of ways that we can actually approach this. But the key thing to remember, this virus is very contagious, and it can move, it can mutate. And once it mutates, it takes on a brand new life. So if it gets in you and it gets you infected and you're the next person to sneeze, this is how this virus survives. This virus has positive RNA charges on it, and it depends on another host to be able to multiply. So during the hours that it's surviving, it's looking for another host because it needs to find another host. It's like a positive signal out there looking for something negative to attach itself to. Once it attaches itself, just like this lodestone on my neck. And once it attaches itself, then if that's a host, then it enters the host and it multiplies and create a whole new set of viruses through mutation. So this is a very contagious virus. And certainly when we have the time, I can talk to the community about how contagious it is. But yes, it can become airborne. Yes, it can become airborne in different ways, and it can hitch a ride on various objects.
But
and it
your solution to the problem is not the 40% that we save because of the action we take to separate. Your solution to the problem is, let's build a community of people who are strong enough that when this thing hits, we are capable of suppressing it because of the system that God gave us. That's what you're saying.
Fight it off.
So I am
absolutely.
on high blood pressure pills until I get the right kind of diet, the right kind of exercise to get me off the pills. I'm not taking the pills so I can keep eating big steaks all day and all night. I'm on the pills until I get the kind of behavior. So you're telling me, let's stay separate until we get Black people and Hispanic people built to the place that if the disease comes by, we still have the power to resist it.
Well,
Absolutely.
you can fight it off.
Now,
Yes,
here's what
and that's
people tell me.
That's what I call it, lean into the storm. We got to lean into it.
Lean into the storm.
We got to lean into it.
Aggressively operating. Now,
Yes,
here's what people tell
absolutely.
me. They say, Bishop, you're too thin. You need some fat in order to offset a disease. In case you get sick, you got a little fat on you. How does fatty tissues fight disease?
That's a great question, Bishop. I'm glad you brought that up. African Americans, we have obesity is a big problem in the African American community. Obesity is not good because, number one, you lose 12 years off your life just by being morbidly obese. You give away 12 years. So you just basically tell life, I don't want these 12 years, you take them. You tell Father Death, come on 12 years earlier. You have increased cancers when you're morbidly obese. You lose 12 years off your life, increased diabetes. I just buried a friend, 59 years old. Wow. He was like 5'8", 300 pounds. I just buried a brother-in-law, 6'2", 400 pounds. Buried a second brother-in-law, 5'8", about 380. So all these people, almost, how many obese people do you know that are 80 years old, morbidly obese? Think about that.
But the women live longer than the men. Now, I don't care how fat they are.
Yeah, but it takes off of your life. And then it's bad on your heart, too. Your heart is about the size of your fist. So God designed a whale to, it's designed to be big as it is. So it has a heart proportionate to his body fat. So does the elephant and the hippopotamus. But no matter how big we get, your heart's still going to be the size of your fist. So you're trying to pump blood through when you were weighed 180 pounds. Yeah, so it makes a big difference. When the heart fails,
I've got some vitamin questions that I want to throw at you. Does vitamin D3 affect the liver in any way negatively?
No. In terms of like, I've not seen any toxicities. You need to take almost 1 million IUs in order to get toxicities.
Okay.
And so actually it helps the body more than it hurts.
A, B, C, E, F in vitamins. How necessary are they? A, B,
well, you need all the vitamins.
C, okay. All vitamins we need to take.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Your body needs 100 different enzymes, vitamins, nutrients, phytonutrients, amino acids in order to be healthy, in order to have optimal health. So most of us have about 70 different nutrition deficiencies, but the most common is vitamin D. So I can go down the line and just name you multiple deficiencies.
But vitamin D is a hormone.
It's a hormone. That makes it different. That
you.
sets it aside from everything.
Okay, so we take the other vitamins. Vitamin C, you go to the bathroom, you urine all of that out. If you have
use some of it.
Some of it,
use
yes.
some of it. Mm-hmm.
But the vitamin D stays with you because it's a part of your body.
It's a fat-soluble vitamin, whereas vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. So it goes through your urine just like you said.
All right, now can we get all the vitamins with a single multivitamin, or do we have to do individuals?
Another great question. No, I take a Megamin vitamin, which has all the other multiple things in it, and I take a separate vitamin D. So there's no one vitamin, there's not enough vitamin D in any vitamin.
Now, this is a conspiracy question, Doc.
Okay.
What is 5G doing with us?
I'm not an expert on 5G at all. So
who do I need to call, Doc?
You can ask Wilson that. I've read that it's short wavelengths.
Okay, I'll gladly address the 5G concern. What I can tell you is I've not seen any evidence that the 5G has actually contributed to the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Now, having said that, I'm an engineer from the Navy. On our ships, we have something called
electromagnetic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm a retired
What ship
lieutenant
were you
commander.
on?
I was on the last one I was on was the USS Manitowoc, LST 1180 out of Little Creek, Virginia.
Oh, I've been down to Virginia.
I took it around the world. I've seen half of this world on that platform as its engineer.
Wow.
And so on ships, we have red lines where equipment that emits radiation, we tell people don't walk inside the red line because you're likely to get exposed to radiation. Something you can't see, but we know it exists. I'm also a chemical, biological, radiological warfare officer. I'm the guy in the Navy that they sent out and figure out why people are dying. Or like when the nuclear reactor in Russia and over in
Chernobyl,
in Japan, right? We were measuring the amounts of radiation that was in the air, and we're measuring for alpha, beta, gamma radiation, mostly the gamma radiations that might have been in the air. Anyway, having said that, radiation has a charge on it. Remember I said that this virus has a negative, has a double plus RNA charge on it. And there is probably a likelihood that radioactive materials are larger than 1.5 microns. So remember, I also said that the coronavirus will hit you right on anything. And one of the reasons why we wear the N92 mask, although I don't need it, I have it. This mask is designed, this is an N95 mask. This mask is designed to prevent any microorganisms from penetrating this mask if it's larger than 2 microns, because this filters it down to 1.5 microns. So if it's not that small, it's not going to penetrate this mask. Well, there's a reason for that. If there is an object that's floating around in the air and this virus has the potential of hitching a ride on anything it can, there's a strong potential. So although I've not seen any scientific evidence, yes, that's an N95 3M mask as well. I've not seen any evidence that say 5G can cause the spread. But let me tell you what I do know. I do know that there are not enough towers. The 5G does not emit the signal between towers very effectively. So there's a lag. So you may have electromagnetic radiation that should go from tower to tower. There are not enough towers. I do know that. I also know that we have ships and containers that are coming across the ocean. And if I had an opportunity, which I hope I do today, and I hope I can say this because I have 100% confidence. I know the ships on the sea, and I have a passion for what happened on our Navy ships. The reason our ships are being exposed, a lot of the shipping containers are coming from other countries. And again, this virus is very contagious. And again, this virus will hit you right on anything, even stainless steel, which to the eye looks like a smooth surface that nothing would hang on to it. And I also know that in our coastal areas like New York, like Washington State, like San Francisco, like Los Angeles, like New Orleans, like Virginia, what's common in all those areas, like New Jersey? The ships are coming in, the containers are coming in. So what I would do, if I had the opportunity to give the President of the United States some advice, I would say make sure that those ships that are coming into the United States, before they unload, we do a water wash down. We decontaminate our containers before they come off those ships. All those 60, 40, 100-foot containers that are on these ships, this virus, it depends on how many times it mutated. For example, if it went on the ship, someone on the ship got sick, the virus is keeping itself alive by going through human-to-human transmission on the ship and being exposed. So it's keeping itself alive. And so by the time that ship reached our shorelines with all these containers, ships have something called a water washdown system. And my suggestion to even my Navy friends, they should do a water washdown. We should hit our water systems with chlorine, and which we have service tanks for our water washdown systems. And we should do a water washdown on that ship before it comes back into our harbors. We'll use chlorine. Chlorine is one of a number of things that we know will actually kill this virus. Chlorine will actually break the surface of this virus down and kill it. So our ships should be doing a water washdown before they come in. And before you offload something off those ships, like containers, they need to make sure all those containers are washed down with decontaminants. We need to decontaminate, and we can help in that space as well. So that was strictly for those folks that are working on the ships and working with someone who works on the ship. We have to make sure that we fight with everything that we have. Recognize that this disease, this virus is very contagious. Recognize that it could very well be coming to our countries from all the ships that are coming into our country. And we need to do a water washdown before we take those ships off. Bring a truck. Some of those containers, they just simply bag them up, hook them up to a truck. It becomes the 18-wheeler that you see on the road. And so now we're carrying this stuff that's never been decontaminated, that nobody knows exists. We're carrying it all over the United States, even into those rural areas and rural communities, on the back of a truck that picked up a container from New Orleans, from San Francisco, from Washington State, from New York, from New Jersey, from Virginia. You understand? This is what we have to do as a country.
I'm calling you Bishop now. Rick, what do you want to ask? You're right on, Rick.
I've been
Look right in there, Rick.
I've been dealing with them for about 4 months now. And, I've been going on telling everybody what was coming, and a lot of the stuff that they informed me about, I was passing to other people. And, South Central right now, all the gangsters is taking vitamin D. We ain't had nobody in South Central to get sick so far,
Now, what about the church folk, Rick? You gave
Yeah,
it to the
I
gangsters.
told everybody. I went and told everybody I could.
We trying to get to heaven, brother.
I've been preaching to the mountains,
All right, I got it.
and ain't nobody hear me. I'm glad you heard me.
Well, I heard
how
you,
many
Rev.
people I done called to say, man, somebody got to listen to these guys.
All right, we got it.
Thank you.
I love you, Rick. Listen, I got some more questions I got to ask you. And what kind of time do we have, gentlemen? Are we overtime, or is it that people are sick and tired? All right, I've got, does ginger, lime, and garlic help?
Ginger, lime, and garlic. I've heard.
And this is my spray.
Evidence.
I spray everything.
I've heard anecdotal evidence. I take supplements and stuff, but I know vitamin D works because I've researched it at work with patients. But
all right, so we're going with the vitamin D.
Yes, sir.
All right. Somebody sent a question. Because I'm thin, that doesn't mean I'm healthy. What about drinking tea? How much vitamin C do we need a day?
Personally, I take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, or you can take up to 3 if you think you got an infection or you think you've been exposed to the coronavirus. Vitamin C works well with D. They work well together.
So the C and the D go together. Good.
Yeah, they can.
What is the best multivitamin?
I take Megamin from GNC. They kind of a little expensive though, but I think it's a good vitamin because they have a plant-based form, which is all plant-based, and then they have like the regular synthetic form. Then it has about 70 different nutrients in it.
I take Megamin just like you, Doc.
Yes.
My team takes Megamin, and because it's plant-based and it's good.
Yes.
Now,
definitely.
I have a question. What about a well woman?
A well woman?
Because, women are women. So
Yeah.
I guess women live longer than we do.
Yeah. Well,
So a well
personally-
woman still needs whatever it takes.
Yes. Actually, I got my girlfriend and the whole family on vitamin D. So, yeah. They need to be well too.
Doc, you're too old to have a girlfriend. You're like me.
Well, I might settle down and get married. Who knows?
Okay. Why is it difficult to lose belly fat? Because we're full of...
That's one reason. Then we have a processed diet where we eat high sugars. God didn't design our body to eat a lot of sugars and processed food. We were meant to eat more natural foods, fruits and vegetables and things like that. Then as we get older, your metabolism slow down. And just drinking one Coca-Cola has 8 teaspoons of sugar in it.
Good.
So 8 teaspoons. Yeah. So that's like 200 some calories. So you drink 4 or 5 sodas a day. That's a lot of calories.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I try not to drink sodas. If I do, I just drink a half of one and just
I
throw the
haven't
other
had a
half away.
soda in I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
I have my habits, but it's not sodas, I promise. Is it difficult because of hormonal imbalance? Does that change anything?
Yes, as we get older, your testosterone, estrogen, and all the natural hormones that kept you slim and trim actually decreases. And then we're less active because of arthritis or whatever, we're obese. So then you add in a poor diet on top of all that. It's just hard to lose weight. But if you just start walking, people don't need to go to the gym. You just get outside your house and walk around the house a couple of times.
And eat less.
Yeah, and eat less. And then if you drink a glass of water or half a glass of water before you eat, you actually eat less because water fills you up. So that's another simple trick you can do.
How long do you think this virus will be around? And I think that's about the final question.
Sure. Okay. Based on what I'm seeing, I live in Georgia. Georgia basically is opening itself back up Friday. So I think people from Georgia are going to leave and go everywhere else in the world and keep it going. So I would say this thing is going to be around from 4 to 18 months. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon until you augment people's immune system.
So
See,
you
we
would
all have weakened immune systems, huh?
so you would say essentially that this year is shot.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Correct. Yeah, because we all have weak immune systems. I spoke at the UN back in 2018, and I basically told the UN vitamin D deficiency is the biggest problem in the world. I said, if you had like a virus or bacterial infection, I said it's going to spread around the whole world because the whole world is basically vitamin D deficient.
I am going to bring this to a close, Doc, because
Okay.
I hope that you will give me a succinct and very explicit way to bring this to our people. I think now we need a meeting with the folks who can back this so that we can bring our people to the place where they have the defense. What is obvious here is that whatever we're doing in terms of governmental issues and whatever the government is saying in terms of how we ought to operate, that is just a measure to give us enough time to get strong enough to defeat this. This
Yes.
is like taking whatever the government is saying, this stay away from each other, this distancing, all that's fine. And we do that until we fortify the system.
Right.
Because as my experts have said to us today, we're going to run into this sooner or later. And if it goes 18 months, we need a system. So I'm saying to everyone who's listening, to all of my money people who are listening, what we need to do is sit down with these docs. They're going to be here. I brought them in to spend 2 or 3 days so that we can say to them, how much does it take for you to infiltrate the neighborhood with what they need to overcome this? Now I'm saying to all of you that's out there shooting one another, all of you that's gang oriented, we don't need that right now. What we need right now is for all of you, whatever money, I don't care wherever you got it from, let's put together a system that'll keep us alive, because you ain't gonna be shooting one another if you ain't living. And we need to put something together to bless our people holistically. And I'm saying to gang members, millionaires, billionaires, let's get together to save black people. We're down to 19% in the country, and we're failing fast because this disease is taking us out without the proper proportion. And we need to come together. If this is life and death, let's get together and let's make this thing happen. Stevie,
Bishop,
Sean, whoever you are, my love, my friends, my everybody, I'm in it with you. Let's do something for the black people of America and the rest of the world.
I'd like to
This
say
is
one
my
final
lesson
comment,
today.
Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to say one final comment. If you also look at Mongolia, the average per capita or monthly income over there is only $400 a month. So it's a poor country with 3.16 million people, but they have a unified national program to make sure vitamin D deficiency is addressed. And so they brought me over there for a whole week. And like I said, last I checked, they had 16 cases and 0 deaths because they recognize the importance of vitamin D in overall health.
Doc, I appreciate you. I love you. I thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I thank you for even coming to my house, my humble house.
Yes, sir.
With all of
Thank
my
you for inviting us.
technicians and with Wilson and certainly Rick Ross, my buddy Rick Ross. I beat him a game of chess for the first time. The first time I beat Rick Ross, one time. He's going to slaughter me from now on since I made it public. But this is the Bible class from the City of Refuge today. We'll play it tonight because I can't preach to you if you're dead. I need living people to preach to get you to heaven. I hope that you are blessed. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you today. We pray, God, that your people, as they're blessed, they will bless the house, that they will bless the church. We thank you for those who are throwing money over the gate. We thank you for those who are dropping money off at the church to keep us going. But right now, Lord, we want people to be healthy. Keep us healthy. We thank you for this session in Jesus' name.